Alright guys, not gonna lie, this is gonna be a complete doozy. We're gonna be looking at the solo from Conquer or Die by Megadeth. It's Kiko just unleashing absolute win the whole time. So let's take a look. Alright guys, before we get too excited, we just need to talk about the tuning, which is D standard. So everything's back a whole step. We're going to have D, G, C, F, A, D. So get yourself in tune and we'll get started. Alright guys, let's have a look at the first section. I want to start off with a unison bend by playing 11 of the first string and 14 of the second. I'm going to do the same idea from 12 and 15, then 14 and 17, and then 15 and 18. So we got... You add some sexy vibrato at the top of those bends, if you wish it be. Then I work into this phrase. This is pretty much exactly the same thing on all of them. I've got a full tone bend from 22 of the first string, and giving that a little bit of vibrato at the top as well. So I'm picking that twice and doing the same thing from 18. That one sort of comes more down back to the rest position. So this one we hold up. The 16 one, I'm going up a semitone on the second string. And then I work into this sliding octave idea. So what I'm doing here is I want to slide from 15 to 16 on the third string. Then I hit 19 of the first string. So I'm going, then I do a similar idea, but I want to slide from 16 to 17 on the third string and hit 20 of the first. So we're going to go, then I'm going to reverse the semitone, and then do the octave again. Now what I just did there was I slid from 16 to 15, and then jump to 18. So the gaps in the octaves are going to stay exactly the same shape-wise. This is what we should have thus far. I want to do one more 15 to 16 slide. At the end of that, I'm going to slide from 16 to 12 on the third. So all together, hopefully that's making sense. You will notice that I'm doing a cheeky hybrid pick. You can do that if you want, or if you want to, you can do, string skipping with your pick. It is totally up to you. I just think the hybrid pick is a nice cheeky shortcut. At the end of that, we work into this. What I had there was 11 to 12 on the third string and jumping to 14 of the fourth. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to start from 14 of the fourth string, so I'm going to hit that again. And then I'm going to play 11, 12, 14 on the third. At the end of that, what I've got here is all in legato. I'm going to play 12, 14, 12, 11, all in one pick. And then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. So I'm going back up to 14 of the fourth string. And then I'm going to play 11, 12, and then I do a bend from 14 of the third string up and back. pull off to 12. So we've got... Hopefully that's making sense. After that, I want to do a bend from 14 of the third. And then to finish that off, I'm going to play this. So to finish that off, I was playing 11, 12, 14 on the first string. But when I get to that 14, semitone up and back, and resolve that to 12. So we've got... That's the whole first section. So let's try the whole thing relatively slowly, and then we'll do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the second section. I want to start off with a bend from 14 of the first string, just for a semitone. Then I go up again. So it's two bends, both a semitone. We're going up and down on the first, and then up on the second. After that, I do a bend from 15 of the second string, and then work into what would be in standard tuning, a basic E minor pentatonic run. Let's slow that down. So we start off with that 15 of the second string. And I'm going to play 12 of the first and 15 of the second. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I want to play 12 to 14 as a hammer-on the first string and jump to 15 of the second. And then I'm going to roll from 12 of the first to 12 of the second and then add a cheeky hammer-on 15 of the second string. That's going to sound like this. All together. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. Using a cheeky flat 5 in the middle of that, I want to start from 14 of the third string and play 12 of the second. And then I'm going to roll down this pentatonic idea, but I'm playing 15, 14, 12 on the third string, just with one pick. And then I play 14, 12 as a pull-off. So we're going to go... Okay, this is what we should have thus far of that pentatonic lick. Okay, after that, I'm going to do 3 pull-offs in a row, playing 14, 12 on the third, fourth, and fifth string. Now, what I want to do is when I get to the fifth string, I'm going to add a slide into 10. You can add a little bend if you want to. Then we'll resolve that to 12 with the 6. All right, let's have a look at that whole pentatonic lick before we move on. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. The first two chunks that I do here are pretty similar concepts. I'm going to play 14, 12, 11, 12 on the sixth string. Similar fingering and phrasing when I jump to the fifth string, but I'm going to play 14, 12, and then 10 there instead of the 11, and then back to 12. Back to back. Hopefully that's making sense. Now the next thing I deal with is the same scale shape. We're just going to phrase it a little bit differently, just up the octave. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to play 14, 13, and then 16, 14 on the fourth string. Then I'm going to play 12 of the third and jump to 16 of the fourth. Now the next thing I do is I'm going to play 14, 12, 16, 14 on the third. As soon as I get to that 14, I'm going to bend it. So all together, I'm going to add another cheeky bend there. So let's go from the start of that little chunk. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm starting off with a slide into 13 of the second string. I hit it again, and then from that point, I'm going to play 12, 13, 15, 17, all on the second string. And then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 14, 15, 17. I'm picking every note, and then I work into a legato thing. So I'm playing 14, 15, 17, and then I want to play 15, 17, 15, 14 as a hammer-on pull-off idea. That's all in one pick. At the end of that, I work into this phrase. I'm going to bend 17 up and back, down again, then to 15, and then back to that 17 bend. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 15, 17 on the second, and then I'm going to play 20, 19, 15 on the first. Okay, after that I work into this phrase. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing 19 of the second, 2 15s on the first, and then a single 15 on the second string. Okay, from there, let's slow that down. I'm doing a pull off from 17 to 15 on the second, jumping to 17 of the third, and then I want to hit 15 of the second string twice. So it goes. Let's do what we've got thus far of that chunk. At the end of that, to finish off that section, I've got a hammer on from 16 to 17 on the third string and resolving that to 15 of the second. This is a massive section, I know, guys. Please be patient with yourselves. So let's do that last chunk and then we'll do the whole thing relatively slowly and then again with some tabs. All right, let's take it from the start. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, let's have a look at the third section. I want to start off with some cheeky arpeggios, starting from 17 of the second string, and then I'm going to play 15, 19 of the first. Okay, then from there, I'm going to play the first two notes of that arpeggio again, and then I'm going to play 19, 17, 19 on the second string. So all together. Okay, at the end of that, I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 16 of the third and 15 of the second. Then I'm going to pull off from 17 to 15 on the second string, and then I jump to 19 of the first, and that's going to sound like this. Now after that, very similar phrasing, but I'm going to do a hammer on instead of a pull off. I'm going to play 15, 17 on the second as a hammer, and then jump to 19 of the first. So we've got... Let's try the whole thing from the start now. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into these two phrases, which are actually quite similar. Let's slow that down. So the first one, I'm going to do a pull off from 18 to 14 on the first. And then I want to do a pull off from 17 to 14 on the second string. And I'm going to backtrack to the first string that we had from 14 and then play those other three notes again. So it goes... I'm just going to add one more note to that. So the way I kind of think of this when I play it is I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm repeating quite a few notes there. I'm going to resolve that last note from 15 of the third string. And then a very similar phrase, I'm going to play 17 to 13 on the first and second string as pull-offs. I'm going to backtrack to the first string, repeat those next three notes, and resolve to 15 again. So back to back. Let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the start. So delicious. All right, then we work into a pretty creepy pentatonic phrase. There's some pretty hilarious gaps here, so be patient with yourselves. I work into this. Let's slow that down. That first note's pretty offensive. I got the pull off from 17 to 12 on the first, then I jump to 16 of the second. Then what I've got there is a hammer on from 12 to 15 and pulling off. Then I play 17 of the second and then 12 of the first. So we've got... And what I've got at the end of that, very similar to what we had in section 2. I'm going to do a hammer on from 12 to 15 and then jump to 14 of the string above and then back down to the 12 again. So we've got all together. At the end of that, you can either do it all in a pull-off, or if you want to, you can add another pick in the middle. I'm playing 15, 14, 12, and then 14, 12 on the third. At full speed, it doesn't really matter. So all together. At the end of that, I work into a cheeky dominant lick. So that's a dominant arpeggio. I'm starting from 11 of the third and the second string. Then I want to play 9, 12, and then it goes 10, 8. After that, I have another dominant arpeggio, but this one starts from 10, and I'm going to go... That's going 10, 10 of the second and the third string, third and the second rather, and then that ends on 8 of the first string. And that's pretty much all of the third section. So let's take it relatively slowly from the start, and then we'll do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Okay, so let's have a look at the fourth section. Keep in mind that we've just come out of that little arpeggio we had at the end of the last section, and then we work into this. So what I've got here is a pull-off from 11 to 8 on the first string, and then 2 bends from 11. At the end of that, I have a big power slide, and then we work into this pretty fun shred lick. Really fun to play. So I'm going to start from 17 of the fourth string. I'm going to play 17, 16, 14, and then do a cheeky position shift back, and I'm going to play 13, 14, 16. So all together. Then I'm going to jump down to 16 of the third string, and I'm going to play 16, 14, 12, do a position shift, and then play 11, 12, 14. So all together. The next thing I do is very similar to the first shape I had. I'm going to start from 16 of the second string, and I'm going to play 16, 15, 13, and then jump back to 12, and then roll forward again. And then from 20 of the second string, same idea again. I'm going to play 20, 19, 17, and then 16, 17, 19. So I think there's 3 shapes that are absolutely identical in this lick. So all together. So let's take it from the start. Hopefully that's making sense. Then after that, I work into a pretty cool pentatonic lick again. Got a hammer on from 15 to 20, back to 15 on the first string. So pull off. And then I've got a pull off from 17 to 15 on the second. At the end of that, I'm going to do 2 hits on the 17 and then pull off to 15 and slide to 12. So it goes, so all together. At the end of that, I'm going to do a double hit on the 15 of the second string, pull off to 12 and then play 14. So all together. At the end of that, I'm going to play 12 of the second string twice, and then do a pull off from 14 to 12 on the third. So all together now. Then after that, so what did I get up to? We're going to do a double hit from 14 of the third string now. I'm going to do a pull off to 12 and then jump to 14 of the fourth. This is probably getting quite predictable. We're just working down the pentatonic. And the next bit, I'm going to play 12 of the third string twice, doing a pull off from 14 to 12, and then from that point, the pattern changes a little. What I've got here is a pull off from 14 to 12 on the fourth string, and then I want to do a rolling pull off idea, 14, 13, 12, and then slide to 10 on the fifth. At the end of that, I'm going to do a pull off from 10 to 12. Sorry, 12 to 10. So it'll go. So let's take it from the start of that big pentatonic lick. cool off, and then I resolve that to 12. Let's take it from the start of this phrase, well, start of this section so far. We'll add one more little chunk at the end of it. So we got... Just resolve to that 12. There's one more little lick that I want to put in, and then we'll put it all together. I want to start from 12 of the 5th string. I'm going to play 12, 14, 16. Then I'm going to jump to 14 of the 4th. And then I'm going to play that up the octave. So what I'm playing here is 14, 16, 18 on the 3rd, and jumping to 17 of the 2nd string. And then at the end of that, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm playing 17, 19, 20, and then reversing that on the 1st string. So going back 19, 17. At the end of that, I want to play 20 of the 2nd string and then 17, 19 again. All together. That's the whole section. It is pretty epic. Let's try and take it slowly from the start. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, let's have a look at section 5. Let's keep in mind that we've just come from that phrase. I'm going to hit 19 again, and then work into this sort of hybrid pick octave phrase that's quite similar to what we had way back in section 1. So I've got... There's pretty good times. What I'm going to do at the start of that is do a hammer on from 17 to 19 on the 1st, and then my hybrid pick's going to play the octave between 16 of the 3rd and 19 of the 1st, and I do that twice. So I've got the hammer on, and then the double octave. But at the end of that second one, I'm going to slide back a full tone from 19 to 17. The next group is going to be a very similar idea, but I'm going to play the octave and then a hammer and then the octave. So it'll go from 14 of the 3rd string to 17 of the 1st. Then I do the 14 again and then hammer from 15 to 17. On the 1st string, obviously, and then the octave again. And then that slides back a full tone. So all together... To finish that off, I go into this phrase. So what I've got here is 12 of the 3rd, going to 15 of the 1st string, and then I play 12 of the 3rd and 12 of the 1st. So it goes... So all together. At the end of that, I work into a cheeky little legato lick. What I'm doing here is I'm playing 15, 13, 12 on the 2nd, then 14, 12, 11 on the 3rd string, one pick for each of those, and you can either just slide straight back to 9, but I think it sounds a little bit sexier if you accent that with an extra pick. So we've got from the start of the section, hopefully that's making sense. Then we work into this harmonic minor sort of legato idea with some cheeky tapping. Now, this was pretty complicated when I learnt it, but I figured out sort of a good way to think about it when I was playing it. I'm going to start off with this rolling idea. So that pattern's going 12, 11, 8 on the 1st string, and I roll that forwards. So I'm going to have 5 notes on the 1st string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to tap 14. And then after I've done the 14 tap, I'm going to roll backwards, forwards, and then backwards again, and that's going to have 7 notes. So I'm going to have 5 rolling notes, a tap, and then 7 rolling notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll do that again. 5 notes and a tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to borrow that kind of counting method on the 2nd string. So following down that harmonic minor idea, I'm going to be playing 12, 10, 8 on the 2nd string, and then I roll that forwards, obviously. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I tap the 13, and then I do backwards and forwards and roll back and forwards in that manner till I get to 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's go from the start of this chunk. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I go... Let's slow that down. I'm just doing sort of straight legato here, descending down the scale. I'm playing 11, 9, 7 on the third, then 10, 9, 7 on the fourth, and then I want to do a pull off from, what have I got there, 10 to 9 on the fifth. As soon as I get to 7, I get into that trem idea. So let's try and get through the legato and the tap, work through the trem part, and then there's some arpeggios as well, which is pretty delicious. So this is what we should have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then just the descend. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, let's just map out the notes first, and then we can add the trem, or you can think of it as sort of 4 triplets per sort of movement. I'm playing 7, 9, 10 on the fifth. 7, 9, sorry, then 9, 10 on the fourth. And then I've got 9, 11, 12 on the third. So if I play that all together with the sort of quick notes there, I'm going to play 4 notes per chunk. At the end of that, I'm going to resolve that to 14 of the third string. Then after that I go... So I'm going back to like the unison bends we had at the start of the song, but this is going 12, 15, 14, 17, and 15, 18 on the first and the second string. At the end of that, what I've got here is I'm playing 15, 17 on the second, and then 15, 17, 19 on the first, and then a semitone bend there. Then I work into a bunch of different inversions of an E minor arpeggio. Let's work through those. Then we work into section 6. So let's go through those arpeggios. I'm going to start with a pull off from 24 to 19 on the first string. And then I play 20 of the second, 21 of the third. The next shape does a pull off from 19 to 15 on the first string, 17 of the second, and 16 of the third. So these are pretty meat and veg triads. The last one, I'm going from 15 to 12 on the first string and rolling 12 of the second and the third. And then to finish it off, I've got a hammer-on pull-off going 11, 12, 11 on the third string and resolving to 14 of the fourth. So it goes. So a lot to remember. Let's go right back to the start of the section, play it relatively slowly, and then we'll do it again with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the 6th section. I want to start from fret 14 of the 4th string, and we're going to go through this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 14 of the 4th, roll to the 5th, and then back down to 14 of the 4th again. The next phrase I'm going to do, I'm going to play 16, 17 on the 4th, and then 16, 14 on the 3rd. And that's going to resolve back to that 17 on the 4th. The next bit, I'm just working with what would be in standard tuning, sort of basic F sharp and F triad major chords. I'm just arpeggiating them a little bit differently. So I'm going to start from 15 of the 3rd string, then I'm going to play 16, 15, 14 from the 4th to the 2nd string. I'm going to bring that triad shape back. I'm going to start from the 2nd string from 13, and then I'm going to play 15, 14, 13 from the 4th string. So it goes. This is what we should have from the start of the section. Okay, the next phrase, I'm going to play 17 of the 2nd string and 16 of the 3rd. Then after that, I'm going to play 17, 19, 20 on the 2nd and the 1st string. The fingering might be a little bit strange, but melodically it's quite diatonic. At the end of that, I'm going to go back to 19, and then I'm going to have a big bend from 17 and resolve that to 15. So let's do that last chunk again. Okay, after that, I'm going to work into a pretty simple melodic phrase. What I've got here is 14, 15, 14 on the first string, and then I play 15, 17 on the second. Let's have a look at what we've got thus far. Okay, then we work into the next phrase, which I believe is just straight 16ths. Let's slow that down. I want to start from 14 of the first string. I'm going to play 14, 15, 14, 12. Then I want to jump to 15 of the second string, and there's only one note here. After that, I jump straight to the third string. So we've got... What I'm doing there is playing 14, 12, 11, and then I want to play 12, 11 again. So we've got... I'm going to jump up to 14 of the fourth string after that. This is what we should have of that run. At the end of that, I'm going to play 11, 12 twice, and then I'm going to hit the 14. And that's all of sort of our 16th note passage. To finish that off, what I've got here is a bend from 14 of the third, and then I bring it down and just play a regular 14. At the end of that, what I've got here is a semitone bend from 11, and then I resolve that to 12, and that was on the third string as well. So, and that's pretty much the whole section. Let's take it right back to the start, relatively slowly, and then we'll do it again with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. All right, last chunk, we're just going to be looking at the tapping. Now, this is a little bit strange because you'll notice that I'm tapping a note and then doing a pull-off and then hammering into the same fret. So you do get a weird effect, but it does seem a little bit counterintuitive to tap a note that you're about to hammer on anyway. So I'm tapping 7 of the second string, pulling off to 4, and then hammering back to that 7. I'm going to do 4 of those. I'm going to do a very similar idea, but I'm going to tap 8, pull off to 5, and then hammer in. I'm going to do 4 of those as well. The next thing I do is the same idea and same intervals from 10 and 7, and we're going to do another group of 4. So all together. The next one I do, I'm going to play 12 and 7. And that's another group of 4 taps. So I was tapping the 12, pulling off to the 7, hammering in, and doing 4 of that. The next bit, it gets a little bit more complicated, so let's take it slowly. I'm going to tap 10, and then hammer from 7 to 8. So it's a pull-off. It's a pull-off from 8 to 7, and then I want to hammer from 7 to 8. So we're going to do a tap, pull-off, and then a tap, hammer on. I'm going to do the same tap with the pull-off again. But the second time I do a hammer on, I'm going to hammer from 7 to 10. So we're going to go 8, 7, 7, 8, 8, 7, 7, 10. Okay, the next group I do, I'm going to move over. I'm going to tap 12 and pull off 10, 8. Then I'm going to tap 12 again and then do a hammer on from 8 to 12. And that little pattern kind of carries over to quite a few positions. So once you get that pull-off hammer back into the tap finger, this phrase isn't too ridiculous. So let's do that one again. Let's have a look at the next shape. I'm going to tap 13, pull off 12, 10, then tap 13 again and hammer 10, 13. Similar idea now from 15, 13, 12, then tap again, and then 12, 15 is a hammer on. The last chunk I do before it goes into the legato chunk, I'm going to tap 17, pull off 15, 13, and then tap 15 again, and hammer 13 to 17. So let's go from this first bit. Hopefully that's making sense. And then the last part that I do is just a rolling legato idea. So I'm going 17, 19, 17, 15, and then I work forwards again from 17, 19. So just from the middle finger, I'm rolling forwards, backwards, and then forwards again. When I get to the first string, I think that's a group of 7 again. I'm rolling forwards, backwards, forwards, 15, 17, 19, 17, 15, and then 17, 19 again. At the end of that, finishing on the 22 of the first string. Big, sexy, full tone bend. That's the whole section. Let's try it relatively slowly, and then we'll do it again with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. And that was the solo to Conquer or Die by Megadeth. Hope you guys have enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please check the links in the description to my Facebook group and my Patreon. Catch you guys all very soon.